Hi, everybody. This is Karen Highland. I'm with eXp Realty in Central Maryland. My husband, Chris Highland, and I have been selling real estate here for 25 years. And some of you might have seen these videos before I've been doing with my friend Blair Warner. So today we're here talking about a very current issue. At least I still think it's pretty current. The Equifax credit breach. So Blair, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Okay, well, I've done several of these with you, so hopefully a lot of your listeners already know who I am by now. But like you said, my name is Blair Warner, and I am the owner and senior credit consultant of Upgrade My Credit. And our website's the same name, upgrademycredit.com. And just to keep it short, I've been doing this for 10 years now. I can't believe it, but after the 07 and 08 crash, mortgage crash and credit crisis and everything, at which time I was a mortgage loan officer, I transitioned into this and have been doing it ever since. So I'm glad to be able to talk about these subjects with you.
Good. Well, today, actually, I feel like I'm talking to you as a consumer. So
cool.
Tell us about the Equifax credit breach. I know it's been a couple months, and it's on the back burner as far as all the news cycles go, but I'm still kind of interested in, what we can be doing, if anything.
Well, and that's a good it's a good way to put it. The news cycle, I mean, that's just the way they do it. They focus on something for a week, and then all of a sudden we're back to talking about North Korea or something. But it's a pretty big deal for the American people. It's a bigger deal than they're making it, of course. They're trying to keep it hush-hush. And what disturbs people the most, other than the fact that their data was breached, is that it was breached for over a month or almost 6 weeks, like 6 weeks before they announced it and made it public. So it happened in July, and we didn't know about it until August, which means that the hackers could have done anything with your data. It's long gone by now, probably, and it'll never be recovered or probably never be traced to who did it. And it was just Equifax trying to CYA, a little PR, not have that bad PR. But essentially what happened was that somebody hacked it just like they do anything else. People have hacked banks. People have hacked, government programs. I mean, there's all kinds of things that have been hacked. And but what makes it probably a little bit more, I guess, broader problem to the average American is that over 140 million Americans' data was breached. And if you think it's a lot. Well, and if you think about, there's 330 or 40 million people in the United States, and then a certain proportion of those are kids, and a certain proportion of those are elderly, and I mean like really elderly, like in their 80s, 90s and stuff, who aren't out there in the, so that 140 could conceivably, I'm just guessing, but could conceivably be just about every active adult between 20 and 70, years old right now. And the reason that it affects everybody, even if you've never gotten credit, is because the credit bureaus are not just in the credit reporting business. They are in the data business, the data collecting business. And they have everything on you, just like the governments do. They know your date of birth, they know your social security number, your driver's license, your address, where you live. And the reason is that even if you've never done credit, or even if you've never pulled a credit report, they sell your data to lenders and companies so that they can solicit your business as a buyer or a customer of them. And that's why you may get stuff in the mail that says you're pre-approved for such and such $5,000 line of credit, with Bank One or whatever. And what they're doing is, where'd they get that information? How do they know you're pre-approved? It's because they bought it, and they paid a pretty penny for it, but they bought it from one of the 3 credit bureaus. So the credit bureaus have all your information, and a lot of it's just sitting there, but then they know how to figure out which information is sellable to other people. And then once you start a credit profile and you start getting credit and they start reporting to the credit bureaus, then they start a credit file on you. So with this Equifax breach, all 142 million people's information was breached. They claim that nothing was breached in such a way that it will hurt your credit. you know, on your credit report. But they said that 2 months ago, and I can tell you, as a guy in the credit industry, I've already seen people's credit reports where they said, "Where'd this come from? That's not mine. Oh, what is this?" And when we do some research, it doesn't even belong to them. It just showed up on their credit report. So
Wow.
that's the kind of stuff, that's how it's going to affect people. Now, some people may affect them positively if they got some good credit put on there, but other people's going to be affected negatively. So what Equifax did, of course, they had to talk to regulators and they had to go through all this stuff. And one of the things they did was spend millions, if not $1 billion, I don't know, on their own in-house security test and system and all that kind of stuff. And it took them like 30 days to do that. And they just finished it a couple weeks ago. And as soon as they finished that and they came back and they said, "We've done a test. Our system is now secure. They can't breach it again. You know, y'all are, don't worry, people in America." You know, that's kind of basically what they're saying. But the information is already out there with the hackers.
Right. The horses left the barn and it burned down, but guess what? We shut the doors.
Shut the doors, and guess what? You don't have any barn left to burn. It won't burn again because it's already burned down once. But it's crazy. They think, and I hate to say this, but they think consumers are stupid, you know, and they just, I don't know. But anyway, that's why we're trying to get informed today, right? Yeah. So after they did that and said our system is secure, it won't happen again, then they immediately came out. They immediately decided to monetize and try to make money on this catastrophe. And they came up and built a whole new web page, and they're offering a new product called Credit Lock. And for $9.95 a month, you can get this credit lock, and nobody can access your credit, or nobody can try to pull your credit report that's not you. Because remember, your information's already been compromised. So they could sell your social security number and date of birth, these hackers, and then somebody could be up in, you know, Timbuktu or somewhere. Do y'all know what Timbuktu is? That's
it's in Africa.
Texas. Huh? It's in Africa. But we say that in Texas. I didn't know if y'all said Timbuktu. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we got you. We got it.
Yeah. Timbuktu. No offense to people in Timbuktu, but they could sell it to somebody, you know, or somewhere else in the world, and then they could try to apply for your credit, and then they might be able to get, you know, that's called identity theft. They might be able to get a loan on your name that you didn't authorize. And so Equifax said, well, we'll sell and make money on this credit lock, and nobody will be able to do that. Well, here's the contradiction. One, they're making money on the catastrophe and charging you money that they never should have happened and never should even have to be doing. Two, it came out right after they did that big, massive, multi-million-dollar security test to make sure everything's secure. Well, if everything's secure, why do they need you to lock it? You know what I'm saying?
Pay extra, yeah.
Pay extra, because if it was secure, then people wouldn't be able to use the information in Timbuktu and apply for a loan in your name because the data is secure now, you know? So it's kind of feels fishy to me. And you don't have to. Here's the good news. Okay, am I talking too much? Do you have something to say, or
no? Okay. No, bring it on.
So here's the issue. You don't have to buy Equifax's credit lock, okay? There's forever and ever, as long as there's been credit bureaus and internet and all these things, there's been a way to get what they call a credit freeze on your credit reports. And a credit freeze is essentially the same thing as a credit lock, but of course Equifax couldn't call it a credit freeze because there had to be a differentiation, but it's the exact same thing. And a credit freeze is free, 100% free. And the reason it's free is because it's mandated in the Fair Credit Reporting Act that consumers should have the right to freeze their credit at their discretion. And so it's covered by law and the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and it's free, just like they mandated and said that you should get one free credit report a year, you know, so you can know if there's errors on your credit report. Well, they've said you should be able to get a freeze your credit for free. And I've been telling my clients about credit freezes for forever. And it's a good thing to do. Now that there's been this Equifax breach, you only really need to freeze the Equifax one. You don't have to worry about freezing TransUnion and Experian because of this. If your purpose of freezing it is because you're worried about the Equifax breach, all you have to do is freeze Equifax. Okay. However, Some people freeze it when they know they're not going to do anything in credit for a while. Let's say you already got 2 or 3 credit cards. Let's say you already got a house with a mortgage and you're going to live there for the next 20 years. And let's say you already got a car and you're not going to buy another one for 5 or 10 years. Go ahead and put a freeze on your credit report. So that way nobody can, pull credit or try to apply for credit without your permission.
Plus, you don't get all those pesky letters.
Yeah, well, you don't get those pesky letters. And actually, there's another step you can do right here. I'm not expecting you to read it, but that's a page in my client agreement when someone becomes a client with me. And what they do, down at the bottom in that little yellow part right there, it says call this 888 number. It's called the opt-out number. And you opt out of, or they're opting out of, the right to sell your information to other creditors and to other businesses who then, when they get that information, like we mentioned before, start sending you stuff in the mail to try to get you to get their credit card or get a loan or buy this or buy that. And so they can't sell your information to anybody. So you want to do both. You can opt out of selling your information and you can get a credit freeze so that no one can go to a bank and try to buy a car and use your information to get a loan without your permission, okay? And that's what I would do if you're really concerned about the Equifax thing. Put a credit freeze on Equifax, but opt out of selling your information for all 3, okay? Now, be careful though. We gotta be careful though, because you're a realtor. You deal with people who want to buy a house, and if someone comes to you and says, "I want to buy a house over the next 6 months," well, then they don't need to. They don't need to do, well, no, they can do this. That doesn't affect it. They can opt out of selling. Yeah, right. They can opt out of selling the information, but they shouldn't be putting a credit freeze on there. Okay. So they need to go ahead, finish them, buy the house, finish the mortgage, and then put a credit freeze.
I think I remember even hearing a story recently about, it was another agent. They were headed, trying to buy a house, and kind of the last minute discovered the husband's had a credit freeze, and they had to scramble around and unfreeze his credit and, get some.
You're right. I mean, if you happen to have a credit freeze when you apply for a mortgage, it's not the end of the world. It's just one more hoop you got to jump through,
Right.
The thing about, I was going to say something about the credit freeze came to my mind while you were talking.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No, that's okay.
And I know you have to go to each one individually if you did want to.
Yes, you do have to go to each one individually for the credit freeze. Now, this 888 number, it's one number will give all 3 bureaus the instructions to quit selling your information. But to freeze it, you have to go to each one. Yeah.
You know what? It's such a shame because we're forced into this system. I mean, you can't not, have Big Brother taking all this information about you, but yet there's very little education, I feel like, on it.
Very few people understand how they can be proactive and they can be active in making sure, even just like pulling your credit once a year and checking it. Even if you're not buying a house or a car or anything, you got all the credit you want for the next 5 years, you still should be checking it once or twice a year just to make sure what's going on and nobody's pulling credit in your name or there's no errors or mistakes. People don't know that. They're not told that,
Right.
They don't know what website to go to. You might know what website because we've talked, but can you name it off the top of your head? No. To get your free credit report? No. But consumers should know, By the way, listeners, it's annualcreditreport.com. That's the only place you can go that it's a free credit report from each bureau, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. However, it does not include the scores. Okay, it's just your credit report.
That's funny. I was going to say freecreditreport.com because of the commercials, but that's not a free site?
Nope, that's a private company, and it's not the one that, I mean, you can get, I think they have an introductory one, but then 7 days later, if you don't, opt out, then they're going to charge you $29.95. So it's not really free.
Yeah. Dang.
They were probably one of the first ones way back in 2002 when they amended the Fair Credit Reporting Act and said that everybody had to be able to get one free credit report. I bet they grabbed that domain name, freecreditreport.com.
Wow. So marketers jumped on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, this is a lot of information. Some of you might have to listen to this twice or 3 times to get it all. But if you have any questions or you feel like your credit's been compromised or you want to get a free credit report analysis, I'll analyze the credit report and see if anything that's on there that's not supposed to be or anything that's from the Equifax breach problem. give them some tips on how to improve their credit. So
excellent. Yeah, and I'm going to put that 800 number down in the bottom. This will be on my YouTube channel, and it'll be there. And also, if I send it out in any newsletters, and certainly it will be on my blog, we'll have that number there, and we'll have Blair's information. We've recommended Blair to our clients, and we just have absolutely wonderful things to say. So if you do ever, I feel like there's still a lot of shame sometimes about it, but you know what? Things happen. So, we've helped people with short sales, and, there's so many things that are so beyond, your control these days. So if you ever need, extra help with a credit score problem, definitely give Blair a call.
well, I appreciate that, and I love helping your clients. It's interesting you said that about shame, because sometimes I do get people, and you can just tell in the tone of their voice that they're kind of embarrassed. And I learned a long time. I told you I've been doing this 10 years. I learned a long time ago just to ease it and say, hey, I've been doing this 10 years. I've probably looked at 2,000 credit reports. There's not going to be anything on there that I haven't seen. And, that's why you're calling me, so don't be embarrassed. And they're like, I can just tell that they just take because it is, you kind of wonder if you're the only one or, that has all these problems, credit problems. And a lot of people just went through a tough time. And then now they're through that tough time and they want to know how to get back on their feet, So.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, we did a lot of short sales for a couple years there. And, it was kind of a similar thing. Like, you know what? There's no reason for you to feel guilty about what's happened in our industry, because you certainly didn't cause it,
Right.
the implosion of mortgages and housing values,
going down.
Plummeting.
Yeah.
That's right. I know. So it happens. Just things happen. So
things happen. So
yeah, thank you so very much. This is just really, I feel good. It's what I needed to hear myself. So
are you going to go freeze your, well, you told me earlier that you had two.
I did, but I'm going to do that opt-out call.
Yeah, do that opt-out call, because you don't need all that information. You got all the credit cards you need, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I got plenty. I'm doing just good on that level. But yeah, I don't need all that mail, all that junk mail. It's filling up my recycle bin.
All right.
So, all right. Thanks very much, Blair.
All right. It's my pleasure.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.